بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Okay, alhamdulillah, we have live audience and they're live literally. Their salam is good, strong, so we're going to go, inshallah, into a little bit of depth in our topic, which is al-Qawa'id al-Fiqhiyya. We defined fiqh last time, and we said that it is the knowledge that is taken from detailed evidences pertaining to actions and to practical legal rulings. And we went to the definition of Usul al-Fiqh and a short description of what it is about. And now we move on to describing or defining our topic, which is al-Qawa'id al-Fiqhiyya, fiqhi rules, legal maxims. What are the legal maxims? What is the Qawa'id al-Fiqhiyya? In Arabic, it is a holistic legal description or ruling. Hukmun shar'iyyun kulli. A holistic rule that is based upon Sharia evidences, that is from the Quran and the Sunnah, which is precisely formulated in a manner that makes it applicable to all its subparts, or at least the majority. Very nice definition. Can you translate it into English? That was English. Okay, can you translate it to something we can understand? Fiqhi rulings are holistic rule. Usually in this science, we deal with few words, 3, 4, 5 words, only a sentence. But it is a rule, and it is so holistic that there are so many subdivisions that fall under it. This is precisely formulated so that it would be applicable to its subparts. Can you give examples so that we can understand? There is a fiqhi rule, which is the most famous one, and it goes like this: al-umur bi maqasidiha. That's it. Another one, ad-darar yuzal. This is a rule. 2 words. Al-mashaqqa tajlibu at-taysir. Al-yaqeen la yazulu bil-shak. Al-'ada muhakkama. These are the 5 main rules in al-Qawa'id al-Fiqhiyya. And each one you can write volumes on. Wow. So what does it talk about? This is a holistic rule that is so perfectly formulated to the extent that it applies to all subparts. So when I say al-umur bimaqasidiha, as we will come to discuss, this deals with the intention. Okay, what falls under it? Wudu, prayer, zakat, hajj, transactions, divorce, marriage, everything falls under it. Under this small rule? Yes. So this is a definition of al-Qawa'id al-Fiqhiyya. A holistic rule that is based upon the Sharia evidences, Quran and Sunnah, which is precisely formulated in a manner that makes it applicable to all its subparts, or at least the majority. Why did we say the majority? Because it is not as thorough and perfect as Usul al-Fiqh. This one may have exceptions, but 90% it applies to all. Why does it have 90% only perfection? We will come to discuss this later on, inshallah. Now, in order for us to understand it a little bit further, especially when we compare it to Usul al-Fiqh, it is beneficial to try and investigate the differences between them. So the first difference, a fiqhi rule, قاعدة فقهية, is interested mostly in the actions of the individual. So it is important for me to know whether what I'm doing is right or not right, how to apply it in my life, how to use it as a means, because it deals with fiqh. So qawaid fiqhiyya, it deals with fiqh. So how can I apply this in my prayer, in my wudu, etc.? While usul al-fiqh does not deal with an individual, it deals with the rules. Is it obligatory? Is it not? Is it prohibited? Or is it recommended? Is it permissible? Is it general? Is it specific? Is it abrogated? Is it not? So it deals with the rules, but it doesn't deal with you and me. Unlike al-qawaid al-fiqhiyya, we apply it on ourselves. We can know that, yes, what is my intention when I made wudu? I made wudu just to get freshen up, wash my face. I did not intend to pray with it. Said, okay, you cannot pray. What about you? No, I made wudu to pray. Then you can pray. So this deals with the individual. Two, when you come to fundamentals of fiqh, or the foundations of the fiqh, or usul al-fiqh, you find that it fits like a glove everything that it talks about. So whenever we speak about wajib, then this is mandatory. And you find that anything that we say wajib means that if you do it, you're rewarded. If you don't, you're sinful. So it falls under everything that is wajib, whether in the Quran, whether in the Sunnah, whether in the fiqh, it fits it. While in the fiqhi rules, we said that it is 90%. There is always an exception. Why? Because it's a rule. And the things that it covers are a lot. Unlike the fundamentals of fiqh, usul al-fiqh, this is something that is overwhelmingly controlling anything else. So you cannot find exceptions with it. Thirdly, the essence of the fiqhi rules is to get things together under one umbrella, under one formula. And this usually is defined by looking at the illah, at the reason. So I can say that al-umur bimaqasidiha, that this deals with the intention. So anything that has intention in it, we can apply this to it. One would say, do we have things that don't have intention in Islam? Yes. If I make wudu, do I need an intention? Definitely. Without an intention, my wudu is not applicable. What about if there is najasa on my thobe? And I was putting my thobe on the balcony, rain came, cleaned my thobe completely, the najasa is gone away. Can I wear the thobe or I have to wash it? I can wear it. Was there an intention in removing the najasa? No. So here we know that there are exceptions in the rulings of fiqh. But when you come to the fundamentals of fiqh, you would find that they are all consistent. The difference between fundamentals of fiqh and rules of fiqh, fundamentals of fiqh comes first. So we say obligatory, prohibited, recommended, makruh, permissible. This comes first, and then we look at the evidences. While in the fiqhi rules, it's the opposite. We get the evidences, we look into them, we study hard, and then we come with a formula. So one comes before the other. When it comes to fundamentals of fiqh, usul al-fiqh, you will find it only in a small chapter that deals only with the science of usul al-fiqh. While fiqhi rules, qawaid al-fiqhiyya, you will find it in hundreds of chapters of fiqh. in Kitab al-Wudu, in Kitab al-Salah, in Kitab al-Jama'ah, in Kitab al-Zakat, in Kitab al-Hajj, in Kitab al-Talaq, al-Zawaj, al-Iddah, in Kitab al-Nafaqa. All of these, you will find rules of fiqh, qawaid al-fiqhiyya. But usul al-fiqh, you will not find them there. You will find them only in its specific book. The fiqhi rules, they are formulas you are obtaining from the original sources of the deen, from the Quran and the Sunnah. While the fundamentals of fiqh, they're not derived from only the Quran and Sunnah, they are also derived from logic. Usul al-fiqh has a lot of logic into it. Unlike fiqh, fiqh itself, Quran and Sunnah. What about rules of fiqh, qawaid al-fiqhiyya? Derived from the Quran and Sunnah. But usul al-fiqh is from Quran and Sunnah and from logic, from Arabic language. So it is different altogether. Now, this was, in short, the difference between the two great sciences, usul al-fiqh and qawaid al-fiqhiyya. Fundamentals of fiqh and the fiqhi rules, or the legal maxim. What we're studying is the qawaid al-fiqhiyya. We need to know the benefit of studying it. What are the benefits from studying this science, and what value would it add to me? Meaning, if I study it, what will happen? If I don't study it, what will happen? We're not talking about a university, because if you don't study it, you get an F, and they'll kick you out. But if you study it in real life, how would this help to develop your thinking? How will it help you become more knowledgeable in obtaining the rules? This is what we will find, inshallah, after the break, or maybe in the coming episode, depending on the number of questions you have. So until then, stay tuned.
You know, everything in life could use a little improvement, including religion, as it benefits our soul. Learn how to tighten your deen by examining various thought-provoking aspects, like salat, rights of the neighbor, and many more. So join me, Imam Qasim Ibn Ali Khan, for my series, Tighten Your Deen, right here on Peace TV.
Our deen, a blessing not to be taken for granted. Our responsibility to obey Allah, the Lord of the seen and the unseen. Strengthen your relation with the Rabbul Alameen in Tighten Your Deen, every Thursday at 7 p.m. and repeat telecast at 12 p.m. Saudi Arabia on Peace TV.
Say indeed, my prayers, my sacrifice, my life and my death are all for Allah, sustainer of the world.
A dynamic.
I challenge any human being to point out a single fundamental of Islam
In youthful quest.
which is against humanity as a whole.
Iconic, inspiring, encouraging.
Don't judge Islam based on the following.
Farik Naik.
Judge Islam based on the authentic sources, that's the glorious Quran and the authentic Hadith.
Son of the world-famous orator on Islam and comparative religion, Dr. Zakir Naik.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us an opportunity to do a prophet job and to earn a prophet reward.
A star above par in Teens Star. Every Friday at 6:30 p.m. and repeat telecast at 9:30 a.m. Saudi Arabia on Peace TV.
We are not addicted to dawah. Addiction implies a short-term fix. One doesn't need to get into the zone to talk about Islam. You do dawah because it is a natural result of your commitment to Allah. If you don't talk, people are going to walk. The most effective combination in the propagation of true Islam is found in Dawah Ilallah. Join me, Arib Islam, as we go through Dawah Ilallah only on Peace TV.
Follow the tips to make the task of Dawah result-oriented in Dawah Ilallah, next on Peace TV.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. So before going into the benefits of learning the fiqh rules, do we have any questions?
When did these fiqh rules come into existence? Like, though they were derived from the Quran and Sunnah, when were they compiled? And how come the Ummah and how come the scholars have a total consensus upon it?
What do you mean by consensus?
Like, there's no difference. Like, all agree that, okay, these are the laws, and no one has a difference that this might not be considered law and this should be considered.
Okay, first of all, the issue of difference, everything, there is a difference of opinion. But this difference of opinion does not allow you to choose what you like. And this is generally speaking in fiqh. So if you come on a higher level, yes, there are difference of opinion in these fiqh rules. Some of the scholars may say that this is not the right way of formulating it. We disagree with it. But in essence, the majority of them accept it because it is not rocket science. It is depending on the evidences from the Quran and Sunnah. You can see it in front of you. So you make a formula and you prepare it. And that is why this science is not something that is over. The possibility of formulating new qawa'id, new rules, is never ending. You can come today and give a rule. But is it applicable or not? This is what the scholars would have to cross-examine and look into and then say, yeah, this is possible or not. When was this formulated? It came into existence in the 3rd or 4th century Hijrah. But it matured on the 8th century of Hijrah, when a lot of scholars wrote about this. Ibn Rajab al-Hanbali has a book in it. Ibn Nujaym has a famous book in it. Shafi'i, the great Imam, may Allah have mercy on his soul, who was born in 150 Hijrah, he wrote a lot in Usul al-Fiqh, in the fundamentals of fiqh. And through his writings, they could get 1 or 2 or 3 of these fiqh rules. But to document this and to write in it extensively, this was very famous in the 8th century of Hijrah, and Allah knows best.
Sheikh, as you mentioned that there are Qawaid al-Fiqh and Usul al-Fiqh. And similarly, you mentioned that there are Usul al-Hadith, Usul al-Tafsir. So in these different fields, although we are not focusing on them, do we have similar categories like Qawaid al-Hadith and Usul al-Hadith and Qawaid al-Quran and Usul al-Quran, or something different?
Okay. Now, each science has a number of sub-sciences related to it. So we have fiqh, for example. Fiqh is very wide. You have fiqh that deals with schools of thought. So fiqh al-Hanafi, fiqh al-Hanbali, fiqh al-Shafi'i, fiqh al-Maliki. And then you have a comparative way of looking into fiqh. So in the issue of things that nullify wudu, Hanafi says so, but Hanbali says so. And Maliki says so, but Shafi'i says so. And you start listing down their evidences and cross-examining and coming up with a conclusion. And why the difference in opinion. Then you have fiqh that is based on the evidence itself. So when you come to the book of Bulugh al-Maram by Al-Hafiz ibn Hajar, or Umdat al-Ahkam by Al-Maqdisi Jama'ili, you will find that each one of them is listing the hadith that refers to this fiqhi rule, whether it is obligatory, mandatory, forbidden, etc., in chapters of fiqh. Then you have sciences that supplement and complement them, such as Usul al-Fiqh, al-Qawa'id al-Fiqhiyya, etc. When you go to the Quran, it's the same thing, but in different categories. So you have al-Quran al-Kareem, you have the science of tajweed, the science of qira'at, then you have the science of ulum al-Quran. And ulum al-Quran itself is this big, but each chapter can be a science in itself. So Asbab al-Nuzul by Al-Wahidi, this is a separate book. He wrote on only the verses of the Quran and the reason for revelation of these particular ayahs. You go to An-Nasikh wal-Mansukh, and this is a science by itself, though it is part of ulum al-Quran, it is studying of the Quran. And you cascade down on and on. There is tafsir itself. Tafsir, there is tafsir by the subject. There is tafsir by the athar, meaning that you have to refer ayah, your tafsir of it. Who said it from the Quran, from the Sunnah, from the companions? This is only relating to evidence. There is tafsir bil ra'i. This is tafsir by the linguistic aspects of it. So this ayah in Arabic means so and so, so the tafsir is so and so. Okay, who said this? Qatada, Ikrima? No, I don't know. I'm talking about al-ra'i. So on. Hadith is the same thing. You have the hadith itself, you have shuruh al-hadith that speaks about it, you have mustalah al-hadith that talks about the chain of narrators, whether it is right. You have the books of al-rijal, al-jarh wa-ta'dil. The narrators themselves, there are hundreds of volumes that talk about each one. Is he authentic or not? Okay, Abu Hurairah we know. Okay, what about the Tabi'i? Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib, his stories, so and so and so and so. What about Abu Ayyub al-Sakhtayani? He is one of the sheikhs of al-Bukhari. What is his biography? Is he authentic or not? Trustworthy or not? So this is ulum al-rijal. There are different types of books that are sahih or sunan or masanid or mustadrakat or musannaf. These are all different books related to the science of hadith and so on. So when you speak about knowledge and when you speak about Islam, Islam is a religion that has been thoroughly and strongly protected by Allah. Unlike any religion, you will not find any religion saying that, for example, Jesus Christ said, and this was narrated by Paul, who heard it from John, who heard it from Francois, who heard it from so-and-so. They don't have a chain of narrators. They don't have original copies. It's not memorized by the people, the followers. So Islam, when you look at it, you find that it is well protected by Allah Azza wa Jal. And each science has been served. And that is why we have a number of scholars who were masters in all sciences. Now, today, I don't know anyone can fit this. We have an expert in Arabic, top notch. We have an expert in tafsir. We have an expert in fiqh. We have an expert in hadith. But you don't have nowadays, it's difficult, maybe there is, but I don't know him, who would be a master of all trades. He's excellent in everyone. Now, this is due to the distance between us and the preferred generations. And that is why the companions, may Allah be pleased with them, were all scholars. One would say they didn't have any schools of thought. Yes, they did. The school of thought of Abdullah ibn Abbas is different than the school of thought of Abdullah ibn Umar. Ibn Mas'ud in Al-Kufa had his own different opinion than of those of, for example, Mu'adh ibn Jabal. Zayd ibn Thabit was different to XYZ, etc. But they were all great scholars, and they were all knowledgeable. When it comes to Arabic, when it comes to fundamentals of fiqh, when it comes to tafsir, and that is why Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, used to divide the week into days. A day only for Quran, a day for hadith, a day for poetry. Because if you want to understand the meaning of a word in the Quran and you don't know Arabic, you can't. You have to depend and rely on the one who translates to you. But when you're good in Arabic, then you understand it directly because it's coming from Allah Azza wa Jal, and Allah is addressing you. And that is why, in order for us to master and to become good in our religion, knowledgeable, we have to study these sciences. That will, inshallah, help us to improve. So I hope this answers your questions. This brings us to the end of today's workshop. Until we meet next time, fi amanillah, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Ah